Back to channel. Now we are going to start ulna anatomy. So if you see ulna, it's a medial bone of forearm. So before we discuss about radius, it's a lateral bone of forearm. So it's a medial bone of forearm, mainly ulna. You can see here this is ulna bone, which is a medial bone of forearm, and it is homologous with fibula. The fibula is a lower limb bone, so it's homologous with fibula. Before, if you see, the radius is homologous with tibia. So radius is homologous with tibia, whereas ulna is homologous with fibula. So again, the ulna is also divided into upper end, shaft and lower end. So let us see what is its features and muscle attachments. So let's start with the upper end. So if you see the upper end, it's mainly having a olecranon and coronoid process. So if you see this outer one, this is the olecranon process, and this inside one, not inside, it's an articular surface below that. So just above you have the olecranon process and below you have the coronoid process. This is called as coronoid. You can see like a triangular ridge like structure. So this is mainly the coronoid process. And also it has a trochlear and radial notches. So if you see, this is a trochlear notch, mainly to articulate with trochlea. Already we discussed in our radius we have capitulum and trochlea. With the capitulum, actually the radius articulates, and with the trochlea, that too on the medial side, mainly the ulna articulates. So it has a trochlear notch. And also above, if you observe, it has a radial notch. So radial notch will be here for the accommodation of head of, especially the circumflex head of radius here, to form a superior radioulnar joint. So this is mainly forming two joints, that is the elbow joint and also radioulnar joint, same like a radius. So next, this is about the main head. Next, coming to the olecranon process, if you observe it, it projects upward from the shaft. So it's projecting like upward from the shaft, right? It is like hook-like structure, and has mainly superior surface, that is this one. This one is the superior surface, this anterior surface which is articular, and the posterior surface which is back of it. If I can see a posterior, no. So posterior surface is actually back of it. And next you also have your medial surface. Medial means, first as I mentioned, this side is medial, so this will be medial and this will be the lateral surface. So in the case of our ulna, the lateral surface of ulna is towards the interosseous membrane, and the medial side is towards our hand side. So it's a medial side, means outer border. So these are the different surfaces of the olecranon process. So next we'll talk about the anterior surface. Coming to the anterior surface, it's mainly articular, and it forms a upper part of trochlear notch and articulates with it to form the elbow joint. And the posterior surface of the olecranon is actually a triangular subcutaneous area. Actually you can feel it in your hand when you are flexing it. Even now, if you try to flex your hand and feel the projection, bony projection outward, that is nothing but the olecranon process posterior aspect, right? So it's olecranon process posterior aspect, triangular subcutaneous area, which is mainly separated from the skin by means of bursa. Next, coming to inferiorly. Inferiorly, if you see, this olecranon process is continuous with posterior border of shaft of ulna. So actually it has a posterior border on back side. If I'll get that, I'll show you. So here in this diagram you can see the posterior side of ulna. So as I said, this is the posterior olecranon process, and this is continuous with the posterior border. If you see this dotted line, this is the posterior border as it's mentioned here, see. So the posterior border of olecranon process is continuous with the posterior border of ulna. And we also already discussed upper part forms the elbow joint, and the medial, lateral side. Lateral side it will form the superior radioulnar joint. The medial surface is continuous inferiorly with posterior surface of shaft. If you see the medial surface, it's continuous inferiorly with the posterior surface of shaft and also with the lateral surface. So this is the medial surface and lateral surface. The lateral surface is smooth and also sharp because it's having interosseous membrane connected to it. If you remember, even for the radius, the interosseous membrane or the medial membrane is sharp, whereas in the case of ulna, the lateral border is sharp for attaching to this interosseous membrane. And next, coming to the medial surface. So medial surface, if you can understand this side as the medial surface. So the medial surface is continuous inferiorly with posterior surface. Yeah, we have discussed. Next, coming to superior surface. Superior surface in the posterior part shows a roughened area. So in this diagram we can appreciate the posterior side of ulna, right? So in the posterior part it shows a roughened area, somewhat the roughened area will be here. So if you see the coronoid process is projecting forwards from the shaft just below the olecranon fossa and has 4 surfaces. It also has 4 surfaces. Superior means this one, superior surface, anterior surface, medial surface, and also lateral surface. So the superior surface of this coronoid fossa mainly forms the lower part of trochlear notch, and the anterior surface, if you see, it's triangular and it's somewhat rough structure, and the lower corner forms ulnar tuberosity. If you see here, the lower corner here forms the ulnar tuberosity. This is called as ulnar tuberosity. If you remember, even in the radius we have discussed, anteriorly we have the radial tuberosity, but posteriorly it's more prominent, whereas in ulna, in anterior side only, the ulnar tuberosity is more prominent just below the coronoid process lower surface or inferior surface, right? And the upper part of lateral surface, coming to the upper part of lateral surface, if you see the upper part of lateral surface, it has a radial notch for the head of radius. Yeah, done with it. And next, coming to annular ligament. Annular ligament is mainly attached to the anterior and posterior margins of this notch, right? Anterior and posterior margin of notch. The lower part of lateral surface, this one, lower part of lateral surface forms depressed area to accommodate radial tuberosity, limited behind by ridge supinator crest. What they are saying, the annular ligament is attached to anterior and posterior margins of notch in the lower part of lateral surface. This is the lateral surface, right? The lower part of lateral surface forms depressed area to accommodate the radial tuberosity. Yeah, lower part, I think posterior part they're talking, because in lower part how they can accommodate radial tuberosity, because radial tuberosity is here. I think in the posterior part we'll check out that. Yeah, you can check out in the posterior part of lateral surface. So here this side will be lateral surface, right? Lateral surface forms depressed area to accommodate radial tuberosity, limited behind by ridge supinator crest, and it's limited by the supinator crest. So coming to the medial surface, you can see the medial side. The medial surface is continuous with the medial surface of the shaft. That's it, nothing so special. So trochlear notch, if you see, it's an articular surface for trochlea of humerus elbow joint, and the radial notch articulates the head of radius from superior radioulnar joint. Next, coming to the shaft, okay, upper end is completed, mainly have olecranon process, coronoid process, trochlear notch, ulnar tuberosity done. So now we'll come to the shaft. So in shaft you have mainly borders like interosseous or lateral border, and which is sharpest, middle 2/4, and superior lid is continuous with supinator crest. Very important, superior lid is continuous with supinator crest, and the anterior border is thick, rounded, begin from the medial side of ulnar tuberosity. So this ulnar tuberosity medially, from here it will start, right? It is starting from here, pass backwards in lower 1/3 and terminates in the medial side of styloid process. So if you see the medial side of styloid process, here it terminates. So this is all called as a anterior border. Next, coming to posterior border, it's subcutaneous, begin at the apex of triangular subcutaneous area. So posteriorly in the triangular subcutaneous area, it begins at the back of olecranon and terminates at the base of styloid process. It also terminates in the base of styloid process. Next, coming to the surfaces, you can see the anterior surface is between the anterior and lateral border, anterior and lateral border, and nutrient foramen in the upper part of surface is coming from the anterior interosseous artery. Next, coming to medial, it's between the anterior and posterior border. Coming to posterior, it's between posterior and lateral border. So oblique line divides the upper and lower part, further divided, and the lower part is further divided into medial and lateral. So actually the lower part, as you can see, the line like structure which is dividing it further into, this side will be the medial side and this side will be the lateral side. So like that it is divided, mainly because of a straight vertical line which is in the lower index especially. So by this we also completed the shaft. Now we'll discuss about the lower end. Coming to the lower end, you can see the lower end is having head and also stylet process. So head is mainly here, the head is mainly for articulation with the ulnar notch of radius. You can see the ulnar notch here for the radius. So ulnar notch for radius and inferior radio-ulnar joint. It is separated from which joint by means of articular disc. Here the articular disc will also form. So ulnar artery and nerve lie in the anterior aspect of head of ulna. So here at the head of ulna. So I think here you can see the head of ulna very clearly. This is head of ulna. You can see this is ulna bone. So it's head. So in this diagram it's not so clear, but it's mentioned here as head. So this head-like structure, head of ulna, is where in the anterior aspect where the ulnar artery and nerve lie, very important. Next, coming to stylet process, it is projecting downwards from posterior medial side of lower end of ulna. It is posterior between the head and stylet process. It's a groove for tendon of extensor carpi ulnaris. So extensor carpi ulnaris, very important. If you remember, in the stylet process of radius there is extensor carpi radialis. Here there is extensor carpi ulnaris. So now we will start with muscle attachment. Now let us start with the muscle attachment. So first we'll start with triceps brachii. So it's inserted to the posterior part of superior surface of olecranon. So you can see here the olecranon, it's you can see the triceps brachii inserted to posterior part. This is the posterior part of olecranon, right? Posterior part, superior surface of olecranon process. And the anterior part, you can see the anterior part is somewhat covered by its bursa. Next, coming to brachialis muscle. So we have completed triceps. So here always remember muscle attachment, we will learn it from the above downwards. Like first we'll learn about the head. In head what muscles are attached, next about shaft, and next the lower end. So in the head, if you see, first we are talking about insertion. The triceps brachii is inserted, you can say, to the posterior surface of olecranon process. Done. Next, coming to brachialis muscle. So the brachialis muscle is mainly inserted to anterior surface of coronoid process. So where is the coronoid process? It's a posterior side, right? So if you see the anterior side, here on the anterior side, anterior surface of coronoid process, here will be the coronoid process. You can see the muscle written brachialis. So this is inserted to the anterior surface of coronoid process, including the tuberosity of ulna. Yeah, even the tuberosity of ulna is somewhat included here. Next, coming to supinator. Supinator arises from supinator crest and from triangular area in front of crest. So supinator, if you see, it's arising from the crest, the supinator crest. So it's arising means its origin. So till now we discussed about insertion. Only two insertions we have found till now, that is triceps brachii, brachialis. Triceps brachii on posterior surface of olecranon, brachialis on the anterior surface of coronoid process. Supinator is originating from the supinator crest. Very easy to remember. Supinator, supinator crest, that is also on anterior surface of ulna. Next, coming to ulnar head. Ulnar head of flexor digitorum superficialis. So if you remember before in radius we have discussed flexor digitorum superficialis is arising from the anterior part of the radius. So flexor digitorum superficialis arises from tubercle at upper end of medial margin of coronoid process. So flexor digitorum superficialis, I think you have find it right. So this is arising from ulnar head of upper end tubercle of medial margin of coronoid process. You can see this is the medial side, right? This is the lateral side. So on the medial side mainly there is flexor digitorum superficialis. So remember, on the medial side of coronoid process you will have the flexor digitorum superficialis. Next, coming to ulnar head of pronator teres. Pronator teres is arising from the medial margin of coronoid process. So this is a medial margin, you can see the pronator teres. So we are talking in line wise. First we are talking about olecranon process, triceps brachii. Next we have brachialis in the coronoid process. Next you have the insertion origins like flexor digitorum superficialis on medial side of coronoid process, and now we have pronator teres just below to the medial side. It's also on medial side just below to flexor digitorum superficialis, right? So we can till now say FP. There we have completed TB. So remember TB for insertion of ulna. and FP for origin, and we'll see some other muscles now. Next you have the flexor digitorum profundus, arising from upper 3/4 of anterior and median surface of shaft. So from you can see flexor digitorum profundus is like almost covering the ulna. So it's coming from the 3/4 of anterior and medial surface of shaft, and the medial surface of coronoid and olecranon process also. So medial surface of coronoid and olecranon process also very important. The posterior border of shaft through aponeurosis give origin to flexor carpi ulnaris. So posterior side will get flexor carpi ulnaris. You can see here flexor carpi ulnaris, which is a common aponeurosis of flexor carpi ulnaris. You know, this common aponeurosis is coming from the capitulum or the medial epicondyle side, right? Common aponeurosis of flexor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum profundus. So all this coming on the posterior side. So as it's profundus in the name itself, you can see P for P, like that you can remember profundus posterior side. Okay, next coming medial surface of coronoid process. Yeah, we discussed. Posterior border of shaft through aponeurosis give flexor carpi ulnaris and extensor carpi ulnaris. So flexor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi ulnaris are from posterior side. Next coming to pronator quadratus, origin from oblique region, lower part of anterior surface. So lower edge of anterior surface you will have pronator quadratus, you can see here, right? Next coming to flexor carpi ulnaris, ulnar head arise from medial side of olecranon process and from posterior border. So flexor carpi ulnaris, already we discussed this one, right? And next coming to anconeus. Anconeus is inserted to the lateral aspect of olecranon. You can see the olecranon here, the lateral aspect anconeus is attached, especially on posterior surface. You can see the anconeus is inserted here and upper 1/4 of posterior surface of shaft. Next coming to lateral part of posterior surface, origin to abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus and extensor indicis, mainly on lateral part. So if you see here, this is the lateral part and there is all the three muscles as discussed: abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis longus and also extensor indicis. So they are coming from the lateral border. So there is a small trick or mnemonic to understand the insertions of ulna. So you can see TBA. What is this TBA mentioned? Means TB for triceps brachialis, they are inserted on anterior surface, whereas A is anconeus, which is inserted to the posterior surface. So these are the insertions and the remaining all are the are origin. So like that you can remember and you can clear out this ulnar attachments. Now we will also see some other attachments which are attached to our ulna. Other attachments are like, for example, interosseous membrane. It is attached to interosseous border, like lateral border of ulna, and also oblique cord is attached to ulnar tuberosity. If you have ulnar tuberosity, oblique cord will be attached there, right? And also you have capsular ligament of elbow joint attached to margin of trochlear notch. Excuse me, that is coronoid or olecranon process. So here you can see the dotted line, that is capsular ligament, and annular ligament of superior radioulnar joint is attached to two margins of radial notch of ulna. So here they will attach, and ulnar collateral ligament of wrist is attached to styloid process. You can see the dotted line to the styloid process, and articular disc of inferior radioulnar joint attached to apex to small rough area just lateral to styloid process. Capsular ligament, you can see the word here, capsular ligament, right? Next coming to ossification, the final one we have come. So coming to ossification, the shaft in the upper end ossify from primary center and appear in 8th week of development. The superior part of olecranon ossify by secondary center and appears in 10 years and forms scale-like epiphysis, joins the rest of the bone by 16 years. The lower end ossify from secondary center, appear 5th year and join shaft by 18 year. This is growing end of the bone. And the epiphysis which appear first joined as with shaft, join with shaft. The epiphysis will appear last will first to join. Actually what they mean to say is the epiphyseal which will form first it will join last with shaft. The epiphysis will appear last, will join first with the shaft. That you need to remember. Okay. Just coming to ends of long bones unite last with the shaft and its growing end. So as they're uniting at last limb, that is a growing end, and it in upper limb at shoulder bridge joints, you can observe it. Example, upper end of humerus, lower end of radius plus ulna. Direction of nutrient foramen is always opposite to the growing end, very important. And metaphysis, the epiphyseal end of diaphysis, its growing part. With metaphysis is a epiphyseal end of diaphysis. I will show this diagram. This diagram you can see the metaphysis, this one. So the metaphysis is nothing but the epiphyseal end of diaphysis. This middle one is completely diaphysis, right? So now you can, so it's growing path with increase with supply blood which reached supply. Inferior here it's most common. Infections here are most common, especially in young age. Whereas epiphyseal line is a union of metaphysis and epiphysis. Epiphyseal line is attachment of capsule of respective joints. Infection in joint affect metaphysis of bone if partly or completely inside joint capsule. The disease of metaphysis inside joint affect the joint. So this is a mnemonic for TBA, that is insertions on the ulna. So by this we completed ulna. Next we will start the carpal bones or wrist joint.